Hello everyone, yes, I'm Geraldine and I'm back again with this week's Walk on Water moment or wow moment, and I have got just a beautiful guest to share her story with us today and her special moment in life. So without further ado, welcome Rae.
Thank you, Geraldine. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Now, we have to explain that Rae has a bit of a tickle in the throat today. So, we're just going to understand if there's a little cough here and there, that's perfectly fine.
Thank you.
So, Rae, let's get into it straight away. If you'd like to just share with the listeners and the viewers, what was the wow moment? What was that walk on water moment that you had?
Several years ago, my son called me and said, "Guess what, Mom? I'm getting married." And I was so excited for him. And then in the next breath, he said, "And your portion of the wedding is $4,000. And I went, "Oh, awesome." This was in early October. And he was getting married in about 6 months. And I thought, oh, my goodness. I had no idea how I was going to pull together $4,000 in 6 months. And so I had been looking and searching for a way to manifest things. And so I had read this really weird esoteric text from the early 20th century. And so what I was doing was what it said to do is to first thing in the morning, before you do anything else, you sit in a chair and you get really comfortable and you practice what it is that you want. So what I wanted was to write my son a check for $4,000. Mm-hmm. So I visualized in my brain or my head over and over me writing the date on the check and writing his name and writing, 4,000.00 and FOUR, the whole writing of the check. Yeah. And then me signing the check. And then afterwards, I would feel the feeling of gratefulness and thankfulness that I was able to do that for my son. And I even went as far as I had pastel checks at that time. And so they were different colors of pastel. And so I decided that the check would be pink, right? So I did this from October through about mid-December. And nothing really seemed to be manifesting for me. And I was beginning to get a little bit worried. But and then one day my dad called me and he said, and let me back up a little bit. My dad's a very frugal person. He's not a big guy who throws money. But he was divesting some of his investments that year for tax purposes. And he called me up and said, "Hey, I'm going to give each of you kids $10,000 this year." And I had to sit down.
I think I would too. Yes.
And so I said, okay. And a few days later, the check came in the mail and from him. And I was able to literally write my son the check the day before their wedding. And it actually was, as it so happened, when I wrote the check before that, the check that I wrote him that day was on pink paper. So
pink paper.
Yes, it's a pink check that I had visualized in my brain for 6-8 weeks.
So the pink paper, is this in a checkbook, Rae, or is it?
Yes, it was.
Really?
Yeah, it was. It was this.
Oh, wow. Isn't it amazing how it can, manifest exactly as we see it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what was interesting about that was that not only was I able to give my son the $4,000, the universe gives you back so much more than you actually ask for, usually, in my experience. Yeah. Because I had enough money to buy a new dress and to my plane fare. Everything that I needed for that trip was financed by the universe. I mean, the universe just brought it through my father. But I've had other experiences that I've been, money comes from nowhere. Yeah. It's quite amazing.
And sometimes, Rae, I'm not sure about you, or I'm asking really, do you find that, when we start putting little conditions on it and we want it to come this way or whatever it is,
Yes.
and when, like your money coming through your dad is, is just a way that the universe can bring it to you. It's beautiful.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the really important takeaway from this is that the less stipulation you put on the way it's coming, the more readily it will come, because you're leaving it up to the universe to find out the way how.
Yeah.
You're just asking for what you wish.
So that was truly a wow moment. That was an amazing walk on water moment. So Rae, how has that now impacted the way you live from that point on? What?
Well, that experience taught me that this is real, that this is not some woo-woo, stuff that works for some people but doesn't work for others. I think the important part of it is that the belief that this will occur. Whatever you're asking for, whatever you've asked for in a good way. Of course, obviously, and maybe it works this way, I don't know, but if you wish for something ill to happen to someone else, well, that maybe not, you're probably not going to get that. But I think if you ask the universe for something awesome and you just live in the knowledge that you're going to get it, then it's a great way. It's just the way to live. Otherwise, you're just existing.
Yeah. And it really takes away that whole stress and worry about what's going to happen tomorrow or next month or next year. It really allows you, I'm presuming, I know it does for me, but it allows you to live in that moment of now that everyone talks about.
Yes. Yes, because you're not worrying about, oh my goodness, I've got 30 things to do this week. And in fact, what I loved about some of your classes is where you talked about time. And time is very malleable. Yeah. We just don't look at it that way. But as long as if I think I'm going to be late or I need more time, I just say, okay, I need more time, and then I don't look at a clock. I just trust that the universe is going to provide me that hour is going to be the longest hour I've ever had, or the shortest hour I've ever had. So yeah, and I just think it's the belief in it, that makes all the difference.
Well, Rae, I say this from my heart. You are such an inspiration, because everyone, I know this lady, and she's always just happy and up and ready to welcome the day with open arms. And it's just, to me, it's just such an inspiration. It's just wonderful. Rae, I want to thank you so much for sharing with us today, because people need to hear these things to go, well, okay, so if Rae can do it, then I can probably do it too.
Indeed.
Yeah, yes, and it really does work, because I know sometimes we start to think, well, and then it's, well, it's not happening, and so what do we bring in? It's not happening, yeah.
So, and you got to believe during the hard times. That doesn't mean there won't be any down times. But they'll be a lot easier and a lot faster. You'll get through them a lot faster if you just keep the faith and keep believing.
Thank you so much, Rae. Thank you. A wonderful day, and I'm sure we'll hear from you again soon.
You're awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.